Until a couple of months ago, I had become rather disillusioned with research. I felt research had become pretty boring and repetitive. I published less than a paper per year, which is pretty low. Maybe you're also a researcher or a graduate student who hopes to become one. You were attracted to a research career because of the excitement of coming up with new ideas, of inventing the future. However, once you actually start doing it, you may find it can be a lot less glamorous than it sounded. Lots of committee meetings, administration, interviewing, form filling, grant applications, marking homework for the students. The boss wants you to do stuff you don't like, the pay is low, the pension's even worse, job insecurity for unestablished researchers, and so on and so forth. But that's not the worst of it. The worst is when you eagerly committed to a research career and then, now that you are in that career and are expected to come up with new brilliant ideas all the time, you suddenly get that awful blank page syndrome. Nothing. Much as you try, you can't seem to have any more truly good ideas. That's scary when it happens, and sooner or later it does. Welcome to Frank Staiano Explains. I'm a professor of computer security at the University of Cambridge and a fellow of Trinity College. I've been in industrial and then academic research for several decades, and like every researcher, I've had my ups and downs. Earlier this year, I wondered where the fun of research had gone. But this summer, unexpectedly, something special happened to me, and I want to share it with you. There's a big age gap between my friend Virgil and me. We first met some 25 years ago at a security workshop. At the time, I was a mature PhD student at Cambridge. My PhD supervisor had only recently started as a lecturer, and none of his students had graduated yet. But Virgil, who was older than him, was already an established professor in the US and a well-known pioneer of computer security. Some of Virgil's research was even cited in the graduate textbook I was studying. We became friends back then, and we kept in touch since. Virgil was on sabbatical this year, and I hosted him here in Trinity over the summer. For 2 months, we met almost every afternoon, here in this room. He suggested we address a concrete security problem that currently causes billions of dollars of losses per year, and he offered a powerful insight on how he wanted to approach it. I could not understand all the details, but I listened. That evening, I sat down and I wrote up what I had understood of his idea, and I sent it back to him. He wrote down some of his own notes and sent them back to me. With something written down black on white, the next day we started discussing the details. I was not convinced about some of his formulae, and I told him. He accepted some objections and rejected others. I suggested different formulae. Some of them he liked, some of them he took apart, telling me I missed some important point. After a few days, sketching stuff on the whiteboard and so on, something clicked. We both felt we were onto something, and that the solution we were developing had the potential to become seriously useful. At the same time, we felt it wasn't quite correct yet. It didn't stand up to deep scrutiny, and every time we fixed something, we found a new small problem somewhere else. And that's when I felt this thrill that we were actually genuinely doing research. Nobody has ever solved this problem yet, which is why it's costing billions of dollars per year to the industry. With our developing idea, we kept flipping between the two extremes of nobody will be impressed because it's too obvious, and conversely, it would never work, which kind of suggested that if it did ever work, it would not be so obvious after all. It was a truly stimulating daily appointment for me. Virgil is monstrously intelligent and experienced. He's got an honorary doctorate, he's got plenty of career awards, and a security track record spanning 5 decades. But he's also disarmingly modest and intellectually honest, and a true friend. I could candidly say to him, I don't think this approach will work, without fear of offending him. And so could he to me. And we'd look for a better solution together. Many very intelligent people have a very big ego, and it does get in the way. Here instead, neither of us cared much about being the one who had been right. We just cared about finding the truth together. Developing equations, models, and methods to solve this problem that is still wasting billions of dollars per year. We were developing new science, and this was really exciting. Every day we met, we added another piece to our puzzle, and yet we discovered another problem. Some of the time it felt like we were converging towards a solution, while other times it felt unclear whether a solution was even possible. And that, to me, was really the hallmark of research. As Einstein said, if we knew what it was we were doing, then it wouldn't be called research. We had no guarantee that the solution even existed. We just knew that if we developed an equation and a model that worked, we'd be contributing a new piece of science, one with the potential of saving those billions of dollars per year. And each of us runs a security company, so of course we didn't just think about writing an academic paper, but also filing a patent, selling consultancy services, and so forth. Now, unfortunately, the summer is almost over. Virgil's back at Carnegie Mellon, and he's already restarted his lecture. My own new students are about to arrive here in Cambridge, and we no longer have the luxury of discussing our exciting research for several hours a day, every day. But we've done the bulk of the work. We are well beyond the halfway point. The core ideas are there, and now it's just a matter of polishing our notation, making sure there are no loose ends, and then telling a clear and compelling story. There is still a very big gap between having an idea and bringing it to fruition, whether we are talking about a research paper or a business opportunity. But still, compared to the sea of mediocre ideas induced by the publish or perish context, it was really a breath of fresh air for me to spend these 2 months with Virgil on true research. We haven't finished the job yet, but whatever happens next, I'm happy about what we did, and I've regained hope. So here are 3 lessons I distill from this summer, for you and even more for myself, on how to do true research. There's no magic recipe, of course, therefore no guarantees that this recipe will yield results, but as ever, preparing the ground thoroughly will certainly increase our chances that the seeds we plant will bloom. Number 1, pick exceptionally good collaborators. The best ideas come by working with the best people, and it only works when everyone on the team thinks that everyone else is truly exceptional. Even for a team of just 2, they must think the same about you. Number 2, leave your ego at the door. Make sure you pick collaborators who won't offend you or upset you if they tell you that you are wrong, because you may be wrong some of the time, and vice versa. If you seek the truth, you need to be able to discuss freely and honestly without holding anything back. This can be hard among highly intelligent people, but it is crucial. Number 3, be willing to invest months of intense work into something that might never work and may not even have a solution. Roger Needham, the PhD supervisor of my PhD supervisor, was asked in 1997 to set up the first Microsoft research laboratory outside the United States. And the CTO of Microsoft, Nathan Myhrvold, told him, "If every project you do succeeds, you have failed." In other words, if you succeed all the time, you're playing it safe and you're not being sufficiently imaginative, and you will only achieve incremental improvements rather than the big breakthroughs we actually want. Detrimental pressure to publish or perish kills creativity and is responsible for an inflation of mediocre papers. In my view, it is much better for a researcher to produce one really useful and original research output every few years than tons of incremental Me Too results every year.